What's up, everybody? John Eric Pola here with My MMA News, and I'm excited to bring today's guest in here. I'm talking to Janay Harding, who just picked up a big win at Bellator 251. She got a unanimous decision win over Jessie Mealy. And a funny story for everybody out there, too, about when I was setting this interview up. My math skills, I guess, aren't the best anymore. In high school, I thought I was a good math student, but when we were setting this interview up, Janay is actually 16 hours ahead of where I'm at here in Pennsylvania on the East Coast of the United States, and I said, well, how about we do it at 2 p.m. my time? That should be 6 p.m. your time. No, it's 6 a.m. their time. So we didn't do it 2 in the afternoon. It's now 6 p.m. here, and it's around 10 a.m. over there in Australia. So, Janay, I apologize for my horrible math skills. And how's everything going down there in Australia?
That's all good. I'm glad we figured it out. I'm glad I'm not awake at 6 a.m., that's for sure. But yeah, everything's good. I'm just in quarantine at the moment, in our mandatory 2-week lockdown after landing back in Australia. So yeah, it's all good. We're just like hanging out, to be honest. We got a really, really good place, which is amazing. And I know that like a lot of other people that have had me on Instagram and that have also quarantined have kind of said like how much better like my spot is, because you don't choose, you just get herded into like, yeah, whatever. And yeah, I've been able to get outside and everything too, which a lot of the guys that pre-quarantine before me didn't know that you could do. You can get like 20 minutes of outside time and stuff too. So it does kind of feel like I'm in jail, but it's also like a nice jail. So it's all good.
Well, it's nice that you get the 20 minutes to get outside and do something too, because for Australia, right, you guys are now getting to the warmer part of your year as we're going the opposite way and getting colder, right?
Yeah, 100%. It is definitely starting to heat up. The cool thing is that I'm on like the 22nd floor, so we're just sort of pumping the aircon and stuff when it's a little bit colder. But it was super muggy yesterday. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but Celsius it was about 38 degrees back like where I live, which is about probably like an hour south from where I'm at right this second. So yeah, it's getting hotter and hotter for sure. So it's kind of nice, but it'll hopefully not be too hot.
So do you have like a favorite summertime thing to do out there in Australia? Like over here, we usually go to different beaches and stuff and do different vacation spots. Like, what do you guys usually do in the this warm time of the year?
Yeah, exactly that. I think the cool thing is that I fought at like a really nice time of the year because now that means I get a little bit of off time, which is going to be good because I get to like visit a few friends. I'm going to go visit a few places. I'm going to go to the Gold Coast, which is where I'm from, and hopefully do all of my favorite things there, like going to the beach and hitting some really nice like bushwalks and stuff. So there's heaps to do. There's lots of outdoors. Even in Sydney, probably like early next year, we're going to organize a group to do like a cool little like abseiling, like kind of a little bit of climbing, a little bit of rock pool, sort of outdoors adventure thing, which is really cool because it's been like, I mean, I think I've been in Sydney for like a couple of years and I feel like I've done nothing, I guess, touristy here, which is a bit weird. But yeah, now that I have a little bit of spare time, I'll definitely be able to do that.
All right. Well, enjoy having all the fun there this summertime as we're all getting ready to get bundled up here for the cold winter coming our way. But Janae, let's talk a little bit about the fight here a little bit here. So first off, I want to say with your fight, it was a great fight, a hard fought victory for you. I was on the coverage that night for My MMA News, and I absolutely loved watching this fight. Like I said, hard fought, back and forth. You got your hand raised at the end with the unanimous decision win. So just go ahead and break down this fight for us because there was a lot of action through the whole entire 15-minute contest.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, sort of everywhere. So we got to display a little bit of our striking, a little bit of the cage and wall work, sort of wrestling in a sense. I hit a couple of throws, which was quite nice. And then there was like a lot of groundwork between the both of us. Jesse, obviously being a jiu-jitsu black belt, throwing up a lot of submissions. I was basically just trying to avoid all of those, and then basically solidify my top position, get a little bit of ground and pound off. And I feel like pretty much every round I ended up in a good position. So therefore, finishing each round strong, probably hitting a few more strikes on the feet and then getting the takedowns as well. These are the things that sort of led me to get my hand raised, which was really good, because I feel like for what the game plan was, I didn't really do much of that. Like I was meant to kick more, and I was meant to, but like the kicks weren't really working, and even like my striking in the fight, it didn't feel as solid as it did once I like looked back and watched the fight back. But at the same time, yeah, like these are all things that sort of like put me ahead on the scorecards in each round, and yeah, I really feel like I showed a little bit more fight IQ and a little bit more maturity towards like the whole fight, which is cool.
So now, when you're saying there, like how you had that game plan in place to throw maybe some more kicks and doing a few different things with your strikes and all that, and you weren't able to do that, is that something that's because that's just how Jessie was an opponent, that she did a fantastic job on her end, or is this something that maybe you could correct inside of the gym and next time out, maybe make those areas a little more crisp?
Yeah, 100%. Probably like a bit of both. Like, definitely credit to Jessie. I mean, she's super experienced. She was ranked number 7 when we were going into this fight, and I keep kind of saying this, but she should have definitely been more of a favorite on the betting odds and everything like that. But at the same time, yeah, I really do need to work on certain things like my kick speed, setting them up, little things like that that I've definitely got feedback from, and that I've critiqued my own performance as well after watching the fight back. But yeah, I think it was just like I wasn't expecting, I wasn't trying to like hold on to anything specific and expecting anything specific from her, because I never tried to like put any of my opponents in like a specific box, I guess. Especially when there were a lot of interviewers and kind of people that were covering it were kind of saying it was like that typical grappler v striker. When that wasn't really the case, especially like with Jessie, I do feel like she's a little bit more well-rounded. She's super experienced. She's done all sorts of things. So it was really cool to kind of just adjust, I guess. Like that's like a big thing in a sense of maturity and experience to if something's not going your way, just adjust to like the next best thing, as you would, I guess, in the gym. It's sort of just like making sure that translates into your performances, and under the big bright lights that you make those like correct decisions. And I really feel like after adjusting and figuring out things didn't work, I really kind of came up on top, which was good.
So now I know you mentioned there a few times about adjusting and maturing and fight IQ and everything along those lines. Just wondering, when you're inside of the cage, and you're in the middle of a fight there, things aren't going your way, and you're making these adjustments. Are these things that you kind of talk about during training camp? Like, okay, well, here's what we're gonna do. Here's Plan A. If it doesn't work, you have this Plan B in place, or is this more or less like, okay, well, we're gonna kind of do this on the fly type of a thing?
Yeah, in a sense, I feel like from like an internal perspective, I was like really focusing on, from my last few performances, just being a little bit more mindful every time that I fight, and making sure that kind of I wasn't just going into autopilot. I wasn't just letting the adrenaline take over, and it kind of just like the performance just go for itself. I was wanting to be a little bit more present, and therefore making those decisions and stuff. And I feel like, especially having like I guess a year off unintentionally with COVID and everything, it gave me a lot of time to just experiment and create and all these things that kind of end up translating into the fight, because you've sort of been very like mentally stimulated in the sense of the sport, and you've been able to kind of like explore certain things, and therefore like I understood things better, so that when I came into the fight, then I could kind of problem solve that stuff, which is really good, because it's just like something that I feel like is a little bit more important than, I think, obviously like cardio and all these basic things are really important, but I think just being like mindful and present in your performances is going to like translate so much better than kind of like, I don't know, people I feel like sometimes are concentrating too much on the wrong thing, when it's like you want to perform as well as you do in the gym in the fight. And that's like probably like the most important thing, in a sense, to stay as mindful and present as possible. Whereas like I feel like a lot of people are trying to like hype themselves up or get themselves angry or like whatever it is. It's like, no, you just need to be there, and then you just need to do you like the best as you can. The worst thing is like when you finish a fight and you're like, man, that wasn't even a quarter of like my potential, and I didn't quite show everything that I can do, or I didn't do the things that I do in the gym, and it's really disappointing. So trying to like make these two kind of fit on par and get used to like the competition atmosphere and all these things, that's probably what I've been concentrating on a lot in the last couple of years.
Well, it's been working out there. You're looking really good as of late here, and we're looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. And speaking of the future, I do want to talk about the division just a little bit here. We have Chris Cyborg, obviously, just made her first title defense. Julia Budd picked up a big win. New signee Kat Zingano picks up a win. Of course, yourself. This 145-pound division is really starting to get stacked up here, so I just want to get your thoughts just on the division as a whole and where you kind of see things kind of going forward with all these moving parts that are taking place at the featherweight division there in Bellator.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's phenomenal how well Bellator have kind of stacked up this division for us. It's super deep, and I keep saying that I'm like extremely lucky to have so many opportunities for opponents and all these great matchups, which is really cool. It's cool to see women like Chris and Kat and Leslie and all these other girls coming over from the UFC and really like giving a little bit more presence to the division and kind of exposure and stuff, which is really great. But then it's also great to see those girls that Bellator has kind of exclusively built up, people like Arlene, people like Julia and that kind of thing. Of course, Julia fought in Strikeforce, but most of her like massive achievements were in Bellator. So for that reason, it kind of gives Bellator its own credibility that they're like creating these stars in themselves. And then, of course, we're just adding to the depth of it with these other girls. And then with people like Kayla Harrison jumping down to 145 and watching the UFC kind of try grow their featherweight division a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see what happens to female featherweights in the next couple of years. I really think they'll start to boom and we'll kind of move away from how trendy, I guess, the bantamweight division was for a time there for the Ronda Rousey kind of phase. And now we're kind of moving into looking at the featherweights and especially legit featherweights like Chris Cyborg. So, yeah, it'll be exciting.
So do you see yourself now that you're going to get yourself now in a position where maybe a Kat Zingano or a Julia Budd type is going to be next for you after coming off of a big win like you just did?
Yeah, definitely. I keep saying that I would love to honor my matchup with Leah. That's a great fight for me as well. And of course, she just came back from surgery, so that'll probably be my next fight. But after that, definitely looking towards these matches like Kat and Julia and everything. Especially, I guess, since Julia fought Jessie before I did. These things all make sense, and therefore it'll put me in a great contention for the title, and it'll kind of keep my name up in the mix of the higher end of the rankings and the contenders. So it'll be great.
So now I know COVID is playing a big factor all around the world, and we'll get into more of the X's and O's of COVID here in a little bit. But let's just say if it's a perfect world, you're able to fight again, whenever you want. Just about how long do you think till you get back inside of the Bellator cage?
Yeah, I keep saying February. February will be fantastic. I want to get back in there as soon as possible, but obviously with quarantine and traveling and everything, February seems like the next best thing. Even like throughout Christmas and stuff. I mean, if it is like January or so, I really wouldn't mind. But yeah, like we're saying with COVID and everything, we don't know what's going to happen in the US in the next like couple of months and how hard it will be for me to get back in there. So I think February would be perfect.
Yeah, so I just want to, the perfect segue here, talk a little bit about, what's going on here in the United States. It's crazy. We're starting to see, I believe, New Jersey just started implementing some rules that they're going to be cracking down. The rumor mill's been stirring here in Pennsylvania that any day now we're going to be getting cracked down and having different, rules. New elected president Joe Biden, there's, again, all rumors here, but that his administration wants to do maybe 4 to 6 to maybe even up to 8 week shutdown here. A lot of craziness going on here. Has Bellator said anything to you guys as to what the long-term plan is here with all these moving parts going on at the moment?
Not unfortunately. I'm sure it's just sort of like that instance where everything's a bit unknown. When I was flying out of the US, I flew out of Boston, and yeah, like I said, Massachusetts implementing that curfew is sort of like the closest thing to what like Melbourne here did and Victoria and everything like that. So these are all like going to be extreme, I think, cases for you guys. I've got friends in Seattle that said they're going to go into a 4-week lockdown. I've got friends in LA that are going into another lockdown. I understand it because your curve definitely needs to be flattened. I guess when I was there, you guys hit another 100,000 cases a day, which hasn't been done in a very long time. And I guess somewhere like Australia, we have a lot less population, so it was a little bit easier for us to sort of implement these like extreme sort of curfews and social distancing and home isolations and stuff. Whereas over there, it's a little bit harder to kind of keep on top of everything. And especially with you guys flying, like I did feel like all the domestic airports that I went to were really, really busy. Everyone's got family interstates and stuff like that. So you guys do a lot more travel, which is a little bit harder, whereas we only have like, I don't know what the exact number, I think it's like 8 states or something. And it's not really like that hard to sort of control our borders and stuff. I'm hoping that you guys maybe do this extreme 4-week lockdown or something, and it cuts it for good, like, and then you guys don't have to worry about it anymore. But I'm sure, like, it's been super draining. It was super draining for me, spending like 2-3 months with the gyms closed and stuck in my house. I can't imagine what it's like having that gone on all of the year. Whereas we were out within like a few months, and we kind of like went back to normal life. So I'm hoping that, especially like mentally for everyone, it's probably extremely draining and taxing on the guys that are like having businesses and stuff like that and losing their jobs and everything. So hopefully you guys can kick this 4-week plan and you can get it out of the way, and then also in turn that'll help me kind of come over and fight early next year if possible.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for 2 weeks. Want this to be, over with and just have life go on as normal and start having fights again. I mean, now we're in a pretty good spot with having fans back in attendance with everything. It'd be nice to see. And, Janay, one last thing, too, with COVID. I know you touched on a little bit about it there with Australia, but just kind of tell everybody, what exactly it's like there as we're going towards another shutdown. Are you guys kind of like past all of that, you're still taking it seriously, there's masks still being worn and all that, but are you guys in a spot where it's, life starting to kind of get back to normal over there, where we're still in limbo over here?
Yeah, I mean, of course, ours are a little bit more strict. Like I said, we have a 2-week mandatory quarantine every time you return back from overseas. And even now, some interstate travel, you do have to quarantine. Say if I was going to go to Queensland, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks, but hopefully that'll change by the end of the month. But at the same time, like, it was really strange going over to the US and having it be mandatory to wear a mask, because it isn't mandatory over here. The only place that it was temporarily mandatory was Victoria, just because their cases rose quite a bit. But I checked yesterday, and I mean, for my whole state, which is New South Wales, which is about a 7.5 million population, there was only 14 cases. So the cases are extremely low. And for that reason, like, all of our gyms have basically been open for, I would say, like at least 6 months. We have implemented, like, obviously more hand sanitizing stations. We need to have COVID marshals. There's still a little bit of social distancing going on. People still wear masks, obviously, if they want to, but that's through their choice. It's not mandatory. And yeah, it's more like the border closures and everything. Victoria was obviously one of those states that got really, really strict. They had like an 8 p.m. curfew for a little bit. You couldn't go more than 5 kilometers from your house. Like, these were like super, super extreme conditions, apparently the most strict in the world. But at the same time, they went from, I think, about like 600 cases a day to like none, which it was legitimately none. It wasn't like 1 or 2. And then I think they're back up to like in the 10 kind of range, which is fantastic. Like, it just means that all of these things, as much as they were really extreme, it did kind of work out, and it means that we can go back to normal life, because the company that I work for, obviously outside of fighting, they have a store and a base sort of in Melbourne and then again in Perth. So it's just been interesting, like, keeping on top of everyone and just seeing how our retail front can kind of still stay open, if certain things have kind of been restricted or not. But it's been good, because it, like, by the sounds of it, we haven't definitely been affected as much economically as you guys have, which is definitely positive.
And now, Janay, one last thing here before I let you get going here. I heard in your post-fight interview you gave a shout-out to Krispy Kreme donuts. What, are you a big Krispy Kreme fan?
I am. It's funny, like, what did I do? Oh, because I had to go to the hospital. So I literally finished the media. I went straight to the hospital, and I could only go by myself just with COVID and everything. We can't, like, fill up the hospitals too much. So I was really just, like, chilling by myself for a little bit, just waiting till they let me get back to the Mohegan so I can get some damn food. And, yeah, I pretty much went straight from, like, I went Chick-fil-A, Ben & Jerry's, Krispy Kreme in that order, and then we were dead. I was so full. And then, but it was hella worth it and good to finish early. So I got all that done.
Well, it's funny because here where I'm at in Pennsylvania, we have Krispy Kreme factories like all over the place. So before this interview, I actually, been down here, decided to pick it up off the ground here. Picked up some Krispy Kreme.
I'll need to order some now. I think there's some on Uber Eats, because we have Krispy Kreme in Oz as
You
well.
guys have it down there. You have in Australia, Krispy Kreme.
It's different though. Like, when I got the Krispy Kremes in the US, and we haven't had it for that long. We've only had it for like maybe like 5 years or so. But now I have to order some for sure.
Well, do you have a favorite that I could just make you jealous by eating it right in front of your face here while we do the rest of this interview?
like the original glaze. That's
You're
definitely.
okay. Now, see, my brother told me I was stupid because there is original glaze in here, but he said, why would you even order anything else other than the original glaze? But I got some cake batter stuff here. I've got lemon filled. I have caramel. I've got the works here.
You guys get definitely more flavors. I think you get like a little bit more like different flavors. We don't have like the lemon ones and cake batter. We definitely don't have that.
Cake batter is delicious.
I'm gonna suggest that.
This one right here. Hold on. You know, I'll eat the cake batter one. How about that one?
Yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Is it cream filled or custard filled?
Yeah. Here, I'll take a big bite into it, so I'll show you here.
This is the interview that I want.
Try to get closer to the camera. Nice cake filled batter in there.
Oh shit, that's so good.
Yeah, you guys are missing out over there. You guys got to get this over there.
Yeah, I'll import.
Maybe soon.
Yeah.
All right, Janay, as I continue to eat here, I will let you, before you head out, plug your social media, management, sponsors, anything along those lines.
So you guys can all follow me on IG is the best one because that's the one that I update the most and I have the funniest on. So jump on my IG, Janay Harding. I have Twitter, Harding_Janay. I'm not very good at it, so stay with me. And also Facebook. If you guys want to follow me on Twitch, I do game sometimes. At the moment, I'm in quarantine, so I'm trying to game as much as possible. So jump on Twitch, Janay Harding. And if you do want to get some dubs with me, jump on PlayStation Network and add me at HollowPoint-15. Obviously, big thanks to my sponsors, Ruka Combat, My Sweat Deck, Innovative, HGE, BF9to5, Christian, and then, of course, my management team, Ruby. I probably miss people, which I always do, but it doesn't matter. My management team, Ruby, and then, of course, my teams back here in Sydney, King's Academy, Movement Strength and Conditioning, and my MMA FFT team. I really appreciate y'all, and follow them where you can if you can.
All right, Janay, thanks for the time. I'm going to run out now and finish the rest of this donut, and I have a few more to eat here over the next few days. But before I head out and start eating some more food here, I just want to remind everybody, keep checking out my MMA News and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well.